Okay, hey guys, just want to leave you guys a message so you're at least aware of everything going on with me in regards to things in general. So, when I was in this relationship with Kendall and she had this nervous breakdown, she came back to my apartment. She doesn't want to admit it, but I think I should bring this up because this has a lot to do with people deciding if they want to be in a relationship or they don't want to be in a relationship. So she always had difficulty with men. Her mother was very, very aggressive, but she had to be because she was around a lot of aggressive people. So Kendall, this is some information that you should take with a grain of salt. So right here, I have this evidence. This is like to bring this up because this is a place called Sephora. Every young lady knows this place. It's makeup. So I had to go to this Sephora place with her in Roosevelt Field over here. I had to have a full-blown conversation with my mother to tell her, hey, this possibility she's going to come over here. She's going to stay. I don't know what she's going to do. I don't know. At the time I was in the city, I was taking classes at New York University. I was out of Queens because they kept playing games with my degrees, and I got my degree at SUNY Buffalo. I got my degree at City University of Brooklyn. I got the degree there, and I transferred over to New York University to study pre-law so I could get back into Harvard again because I didn't finish most of my credits in pre-law. I had like 2 or 3 more classes, then I could get into the graduate degree program because I had to take ethics and compliance, and then I had to take something related to UCC law, which has to do with contract law, which I wanted to do that Harvard University has. So she had a problem. Her father, Bruce, decides to transition to a woman. They were having fist fights. Bruce and Christine. I'm going to just say Bruce because out of disrespect, but I'm going to change it now. So his name is Caitlin. Okay, I'm going to refer to Caitlin as she because I just want to clarify certain things because certain people, I want it to be educational purposes for this because there's a lot of things that kids and adults need to be aware of. You cannot discriminate with anyone in employment. So I was around a lot of these people. I'm just going to show you certain things so I have a neighbor. He gave me this tote bag. This has all my tools. I have more tools in my room besides this. So this is one of my bags that I use for my job in the city, in Manhattan. I had a bag like this. I had a Milwaukee. Just going to take it out so that people see that I'm not playing games with anybody. I'm just showing you the tools because this way people understand what I'm talking about. So this is Milwaukee brand. I'd highly recommend it. I had DeWalt because that's what I used. I had my flashlight. I have my little rosary beads that I use. And I'll just take out this tool. So I just want to show you so you at least are aware. Apologies. So I have this. So in college or prior to college, I had to work 2 jobs to support myself. I didn't know anything about the AmeriCorps. I found out about that in 2011. Someone told me about it. I wanted to join the AmeriCorps and the Peace Corps to help people that are military or people who are disabled so that they could find peace. So when I was in the AmeriCorps, I met Kendall and Kylie and most of them. But they like to use different names. I don't use different names. If you know me as JJ, you probably know me for a very long time. So most of the people in the agencies, they probably know who I am because at a young age, I was around a lot of you guys because I was around my aunt and my uncles, and they were either in law enforcement, the FDNY, or they were also in the FBI. So I know these buildings very well in the city because I was told. And I could not, certain times when I was in college, I could not explain certain things for, purposes because I had to protect people's relationships. Even though that I had a fist fight with one of my cousins or relatives, I didn't tell anyone my business because I don't want to compromise their identity. So I was Catholic. I was Jewish. I did research. I'm taking this out because out of educational purposes. I was in a camera club or computer club or whatever you want to call it, photography club. Everything. I created a fraternity that helps people understand about identity theft. I was a big promoter of Kodak cameras, because they were big in my generation. Even though I look younger, I'm a lot older than I appear. So I studied a lot of stuff when I was in college. I had over 300 or 400 credits in college. And I did a lot of work. So I'm going to show you a book that is very important. Just take these tag. Because I purchased this recently, but I had a book like this, and when I had my place, I had a book like this because it. Okay. So this book I had when I was away. This is a book I would highly recommend. A lot of these books, you got to understand something. A lot of people have anxiety issues. They get nervous. They don't know what to do. A lot of people who have anger issues, they have anxiety. They have some people who have ADHD or OCD. They have high anxiety. So if you were ever as a child, if you ever fell on your head, fell on your hip, someone ever got abusive to you, it creates anxiety in your body and it causes an effect on you with your personality. So certain things I had to work on when I was in college and as an adult. I was a very shy person. I wasn't very outgoing as a young adult. I had to do a lot of research on myself. I had to work on myself. And that's a big responsibility for somebody like me. My sister had a lot of problems with my mom because they had fist fights with each other and she wouldn't listen to certain things. My mom also doesn't like social media. The reason why I'm doing this is because it has to do with a lot of things going on right now. Because people are not aware of that there are scammers and hackers that are out there that'll take advantage of you. They don't care if you're rich. They don't care if you're poor. They're from India or Pakistan or whatever. They discriminate everyone. They don't know who you are. They don't care. What they want is they want to end your life. They want to ruin your career, and they want to do damage to you. And that's very, very dangerous for officers and law enforcement, and that's very dangerous for FDNY people. So the reason why I'm doing this video is out of respect, because there are a lot of people in this country that do not understand that once you get scammed, once information becomes compromised, it's very difficult to get out of that situation. You almost have to have a new identity. And you can't fix it. No lawyer, no doctor. It's a trauma that's worse than anything else. See, I went through it. I don't care because I helped people who did this. But see, here's the thing that a lot of these people don't get. Going back to the Kardashians and the Jenners, those people there, they were around a lot of drug dealers. They were around a lot of people that were narcissists. There were killers. There were killers around them. They would see people get killed. See, Kendall had nightmares. I'd be laying with her as an example. You should be aware of this. Many women go through this, and so do men. They don't want to admit it. I'd lay with her, and she'd freak the fuck out. She'd have a panic attack. She wouldn't know who I was. And that's what happens when you have a trauma like that, or a traumatic event, or you got abused, or someone did touch you inappropriately. You have almost like not a split personality disorder, but sometimes these drugs, they can induce a split personality. You could almost act differently. And that's what happened. She went through withdrawals. She was on so many drugs, you couldn't shake a stick. She had to go to rehab. I forced her. She doesn't want to admit it. She said, I have this drug problem. I'm on 4 different pills. My mom won't listen to me. I'm going to overdose. I ended up finding out she had a brain injury. And good thing I took her to the emergency room, because she would have had an aneurysm. She would have ended up dead. And I didn't want that to happen to her. And that's what happens to a lot of people. She had to have a special type of procedure done. I was involved in it. I wasn't in the surgery room, but I was there, and I was doing a monitoring as if I was, licensed. I wasn't licensed at that time. I was a student, but I understood a lot of things, so I was good at explaining stuff. So the reason why I'm bringing this up is she has to get help. She went to this rehab. She went to help. She went to speak to these people. She got through the mid part of it, and then she stopped and she walked away. And that's exactly what a lot of people do that. They do that stuff where they have a serious drug problem, and they don't want to admit that the problem, it's not just themselves. It's people they're around the wrong people, and they could induce it. And that's very, very dangerous. It's sad to see a lot of people die of suicide, because that's a serious problem in our country. Because there's no person out there that's going to vouch for you besides your mom and dad. And her mother told her, you have to go speak to somebody. You can't some people in life, they isolate themselves too much. The reason why I isolated myself is not because I did it. It wasn't because I was forced to do it. It's because really God, when it comes to people who are gifted, they have to isolate themselves because they have things in their past. I had a lot of trauma. I was abused in a school. I was sexually assaulted in a school. I was sexually assaulted in a house. I was also abused as a young adult in jobs. You shouldn't have a person sit on your lap and have no underwear on. You shouldn't have anyone touch you inappropriately. You shouldn't have anyone bully you in any way. You shouldn't have anyone tell you, oh, you smell, or oh, you stink. Because that's very dangerous. And a lot of people there's bullying, there's cyberbullying, and there's bullying in the workplace. And that's very dangerous. A lot of these models were bullied. She was bullied. I can definitely tell you that for certain because I was a witness to it. Because I had to do internships in these places. And Melissa, my boss at the time, who got me the internship, when I transferred over to these other internship programs and I was, flying around with my passport, She told me that you're going to have people that are sick. And most of the time, I'm just saying from my own experience, it wasn't men, because men know better. Most of the time, it was women. These women would touch you inappropriately. Perfect example. I was in Saudi Arabia. There was a princess. I met a woman. Melissa had a co-worker named Marie. She was a very famous person that worked for one of the big companies like Coach or Prada. And she would travel. But she would have to either have a security personnel or somebody around her, because when you go over to Europe or Saudi Arabia or the Middle East, you have to have somebody around you can trust, because there's a lot of people out there that are sick. So she had me travel with her during that time. When I was there, I witnessed a case where a princess touched a person inappropriately and the police didn't do anything about it. And in Sharia law, you're not even allowed to do that. Sharia law explains that. And that's very, very dangerous. When you have a female touch you inappropriately, and I'm not just picking on females, I'm just saying this includes males too. When you have someone who touches you inappropriately, you're in another country, you don't know who the person is, you don't know if the person's they could have a disease or anything like that, or they do anything appropriately to you and you have you didn't do anything wrong. It's a very, very scary thing, because you could induce a traumatic event in your mind. And some of these people that are from these other countries, they're very, very, they could slip drinks in you, and you could end up, if you say anything stupid, you could be around a gang. There's gangs of people that are out in Europe that you have to be in groups where they slip stuff in your drink. They could touch you. Some people have like these special types of gloves. They're like certain people that are assassins that do this. They touch you. They could just touch you with the hand, and they rub off, and the venom or whatever could hit your skin, and you could end up dead. I've seen that happen. I've witnessed it, because I saw that when I was in Cornell, and I saw that when I was in Yale. They were studying a lot of that stuff when it comes to the government, and that's very, very dangerous. And people need to be aware of this. Those colleges are not being honest with you. There's a lot of stuff going on. They can't hide. I don't mean to bring it up, but those people ended up getting arrested that did that. They were very dangerous. They were dangerous to their own government, and they caused a lot of issues, and they had to be apprehended because those people were sick. There are people out there that are like that. And you have to, in life, you got to repent. People make mistakes. I made a mistake. I chose a wrong relationship when I was in my second relationship. I chose a woman that was very, very dangerous, that was well known. I ended up having to arrest her myself. I had to go to a country that I'm not going to even mention the country's name. The person ended up getting arrested. I had to go there, and it was very, very hard for me. I had to go after an ex-girlfriend that could have killed an entire country, could have bombed an entire country, because she had a problem with her dad. And that's very dangerous. And that's what we are facing in a lot of places. There are people out there that are sick. They're so sick in the head that they'll blow up a country, and that's very, very dangerous. And that I have to bring that up, because you have to condone domestic terrorism. You have to condone terrorism because it's dangerous. And I did have to sign stuff, but the governments always told me, you have to tell these people because they have to be aware. Because one day it could be someone similar to me in the future, and people need to be aware of this stuff. So I'm leaving this video with you guys. You have a good day. Bye.